But what we've discovered is that it's all well and good having opportunity where the young people come in, and yes, they do still play football, and yes, they do still play pool, but we then talk about things that have an impact on their lives. And the biggest thing for these, well, we've now become 11 to 18, which is a massive age group, but one of the things that we've discovered is that they are fed up of how the media portrays them. They are fed up with the fact that they are deemed to be no good, a waste of space, only up to no good. And they have particularly, it's why they've changed their name from Senior YPF to Impact. They don't just see themselves as coming together, being an insular little group that only interacts together, but they want to be seen as a group that interacts and impacts the community. So they have started looking at different projects and different ways in which they can do social action. They started small. They started by doing car washes. And with all of these things, we have had big discussions around why they want to do the things that they are doing. We have had opportunities where the young people have gone and they've spoken to people in their community and said, what can we do for you? So this was one of the very first things that they did. Word started to get around that the young people were interested in helping out. And I don't know if it quite is as clear on this picture. This garden, we were called in by social services in North Somerset, who really desperately wanted to help this group, and they didn't know how to even tackle it. The fence, the metal fence, is as high as this table, and the weeds were as high as the table, because it's on a slight angle. And they worked solidly. We did have some adults to help them out. We weren't that cruel. But they worked solidly in order to give that family an opportunity to be able to replant, reseed, regain a garden. They had 6 children in this particular household, and the children were obviously not able to go. We found a mattress in the weeds. We found all sorts of creatures, which I won't go into. There were bicycles. There were, what was the other big thing? There was some other huge contraption that we found just hidden in the weeds, and you just you couldn't fathom it actually, to see what they did. And yet the young people were there and they were saying, actually, this whole community has changed towards us because they've seen what we've done in this one place. It wasn't just a case of they'd helped that family out, but it had been a major statement to what young people were prepared to do in order to help and impact that community. As I was putting this presentation together, I was slightly anxious that people might think, oh my word, all you do is work those poor young people to the bone. They're there doing car washes, they're there going to clear people's gardens, they're there putting on talent shows for other things. What do they get for themselves? We are a strong believer in good youth work means holistic youth work. Good youth work means that actually we take interest in each of the young people for who they are, for what they are achieving, and for what they potentially could achieve in the future. So as part of that, we go away for youth weekends. There is no better way of getting to know young people than to actually be in a situation with them where you're all taken out of your comfort zones. I have been a strong advocate that I don't like anything adventurous, scary, and yet I ended up on doing a crate stack with a harness with young people, and they kicked those crates from underneath us. They took great pleasure when I was on the crate. And we did a massive scramble walk, we did zip wires, you name it, we did it. But it took everybody out of their comfort zones. And it meant that youth workers and young people alike were there having a new experience, and were able to talk about that new experience together. And they'd been able to experience something that they wouldn't necessarily have been able to experience in any other setting. Some of you may be thinking that that's all well and good if these are young people who come because they're part of a faith background. We do have, especially on our youth weekends, we have a major impact in sharing the gospel with these young people. However, our approach to sharing our gospel with young people, or the gospel with young people, is about getting alongside young people so that it becomes relevant to them. And anything we do or anything we say, we like them to be able to experience and be able to relate to for themselves. I do not want any of the young people that I work with to have my faith. That's mine. They need to be able to find their faith for themselves, and they can only do that through knowledge, through experience, and through being able to come together and being in a safe environment where they can discuss it. So one of the main emphases for the youth work that we produce or we do at Milton Baptist Church is we give them space. We give them opportunity to explore. We give them opportunity where they can ask any question and they can disagree with us and they can also agree with us.